Every moment, everywhere in the world, a question is being asked.
How to be smart, practical, ingenious.
We want to see savings, performance increases.
What's happening in sports, politics, infotainment?
Is there a better way to be seamless, personalized, interactive?
How to become sophisticated, profound, intriguing.
How to grow steadily, predictably, immediately.
How to generate data that's sharp, precise, intuitive.
Where to look for symptoms, proofs, indicators.
How can we measure sufficiency, progress, impact?
Building the technology that finds the answers. That's our thing. SPi Global brings value to your business by getting you the information you need when you need it, in the way you want to use it. We empower content through technology. Science, process, imagination, skill, passion, industry, solutions, people, innovation. SPi Global.
There you go. 37 years ago, thank you. 37 years ago, I was in high school then. Please do your math. And yes, whatever number you have in your head is correct. It's 35. So, 37 years ago, this company called SaaStech Philippines Incorporated was a very traditional publishing company. And 32 years ago, they decided to bring in Marie Ampeloquio, the woman who has already seen a global picture, both in IBM, Aon, and Genpact. And there, we kind of rattled the world of people. In fact, I have here the team of people, the transformation catalyst of all the stories I will share with you today. He's seated at the back of the table. If you guys can please stand and say hello to the team. Yes. So these are the transformation, including Celeste over here. I mean, you're part of the transformation journey that we went to in the last 5 years. So imagine yourself in HR, and I have been in HR for the last 29 years. The better part of it was, I was being called or addressed in meetings as the processor, the administrator, the back office team, the backroom team, and now no more. We are HR team at the forefront. Do you agree? We manage revenue lines. We protect the EBITDA of the company, right? We hire the right talent, retain the right talent, and let go of the wrong talent. So when the CEO calls you to the boardroom, you strut your way there thinking, what question will I be asked? What kind of seat is waiting for me there? There goes the question that I will park, because that's where the story of the journey from backroom to boardroom will begin. So there are brutal truths that first I must share with you. Because you cannot aspire for the seat without bringing something to the table, correct? So there are brutal realities or brutal truths that I want to share first that we can all share with our HR folks. First, if you want a seat at the table, please note that you have to earn it and no one gets it for free. There is no one in this room who can get it for free. I don't think so, even if you're the daughter of the owner or the son of. I think it's a fair game when it comes to people management, when it comes to revenue line and managing your EBITDA. So when you go to the boardroom, don't leave the 1 hour without saying anything. Make your presence felt, HR people, because that's where it counts the most. Do you agree? It is. The moment of truth is the first 30 seconds when you open your mouth. Right? So there is no one in HR that can get that seat without bringing something to the table, whether it be by facts or data. And I think Mildred pretty much identified what those business savvy or commercial terms or budget discussions should be, or strategies that you can bring to the table. The second brutal truth is this: if you don't have a seat at the table, bring your own chair. Do you agree? Say yes. Amen to that. Because there are companies in the Philippines and other parts of the world where the seat for HR is not ready yet, or they have pulled it off somehow for another time. And I'm sorry to say that if you have something to say, you cannot shut your mouth. HR is not made to be at the back room, right? So there is a true story in New York City where somebody has something to say and she wasn't invited in the boardroom. It was a non-government organization. You know what she did? She brought her own chair. Without raising any bit of eyebrow, quietly went into the room, bringing her chair in tow inside the boardroom, and when she opened her mouth, the board members were wowed. They were saying, this lady has a lot to say. How come she wasn't invited? And guess what? Since then, she didn't have to bring her table, or her chair rather, because she has her own chair. She earned it. And the last brutal truth: don't expect a seat if you bring nothing, right? Don't get, heart on the sleeve. Don't get offended. Even if you're assistant vice president, if you have nothing that you can bring to the table that solves a problem, that protects your EBITDA, that increases your revenue line, that protects the key talent of the company, then you cannot have a seat at the table. So those are the brutal truths, and we have a program in SPi under the Aspire program. Aspire is Advancing SPi Resources to Excellence. It's a program that actually aims to future-proof the men and women that will run the organization, right? And so, after the brutal truth is done, now I want to share with you the 4 Ds. The 4 Ds of the HR seat as it relates to the role of our presence in the room. The seat is actually very symbolic, isn't it? It's, for all intent and purposes, you can buy your own Herman Miller chair and be happy with it. But the seat inside the boardroom is what I want. Because inside the boardroom means I am trusted. It's symbolic. You are trusted, that you can deliver, that you are a vital cog of the organization, that you mean something to the team of people that runs the business, that your strategy works. And that's the reason why all this function, all these roles are dimensions of the symbolic seat that we all aspire to be in. First is all of us are navigators. We are the conscience. We are the ones that provide the true north for the organization. Mildred said it. Call it out. Make a stand. Don't be afraid. The worst that could happen is they will not like what you will say and they'll get you out the door. But at least you stood your ground. And that is not in any way to be compromised. Correct? I saw some heads bobbling, so I know we're all in the right direction here. Then you have the value creator. I'll just put it out there. Future-proofer and change champion. And so one of the biggest challenge that SPi faced at the 37-year-old company was when we sold the business of CRM in September of 2016. So we used to be 25,000 people around the globe. And we know that the private equity structure is that they will sell the company 3 to 5 years down the road. And so we clocked in already the timeline in which we know, no surprise, that there will be a sell process. And there is a Japanese public company that bought the CRM, but not the Content Solutions Group, which I and Celeste and the team of people here belong to, the original SPi Group. And at that point, when the sale was happening, one of the things they made contingent upon the sale is getting the CEO of the company, which some of you may know, Maulik Parekh. So that was contingent upon the sale. And the immediate thing that our shareholders did at the time was to appoint a new CEO, who is Ratan Datta, who has been with the company for the last 14 years. And so Ratan, who used to be a peer, is now the CEO. And he talked to us, to Celeste, myself, and the other people, and said, "Are you okay with this?" I said, "Absolutely. You're by far one of the best leaders of the company. I don't see, I cannot imagine getting an external person to run the company at that point." And so 1 month later, after he took the seat, he actually sent out a 2-page call for change letter to all managers and above. And one of the battle cry that he said is to get SPi, the traditional company, out of a black hole. And there, the journey begins. And not with the intent of getting a seat at the boardroom, but certainly these men and women got a slice of that every so often because they value the business outcome and business results that have been contributed by this particular team. And one of the things that became a battle cry, and you can just imagine, we were a BPO company, third-party provider, became a KPO, and now, 8 months later, our CEO said, we want to rebrand ourselves as a technology company to make information accessible, adaptable, and actionable is the new mantra. And in HR, the way to think through that is you need to create a framework to make that happen. A lot of it will have to be reskilling, retooling people, revising the program of Aspire, revisiting the VMV of the organization, looking at the leadership DNA. It's a lot of work, but we did it. We did it. So, one of the things we said, just as an example, on the vehicle to become a technology company, we launched what we call VIA, the way of life. VIA is way, right? So VIA, the way of life, means value creation, innovation, and automation. The only way we can get ourselves out of a black hole is actually to create a program that will allow men and women, 12,000, 6 countries, 12 cities, to be drinking the same Kool-Aid. We need to drink the same Kool-Aid, right? Because that's the only way you can put everybody on the same page. The other thing we did differently is we actually changed the leadership DNA. Now, for the first time, we put innovation as one of the leadership criteria or qualities that we're looking for. We also said that a leader of SPi need to be someone who actually puts every single resource into a strategic impact mode. All 12,000 people need to realize how they impact the bottom line and the top line of the organization. And other examples include when no one was looking at certain line expenses, HR would trigger certain reviews, such as there was a point where the overtime of SPi Global was eating into our EBITDA roughly about 2%. And it was so uncomfortable because we needed to review the numbers top to bottom, all lines of business, even functional groups. And we actually made a forum called Leadership Summit, a leadership forum rather, where we gathered roughly 300 men and women around the world to talk to them, and we called it Tough Conversation. Because we said to them, if you want to be a leader in SPi, you have to be someone who can take tough conversations. It cannot be the Sesame Street way. It cannot be the hi, hello, simple way. It has to be down to the details of granularity as it relates to business impact. And one of the things I'm extremely, extremely proud of when you talk about change champion, can you imagine 2 months into the role of Ratan, we were in the airport talking about the next steps. And this is one of the role of HR, when your CEO sounds off, not in the boardroom, not inside the office, in the airport, key ideas, you pick up. So what we did, you will be surprised because this next video tells you what exactly I picked up from that conversation. So he was saying, Maria, I'm thinking of coming up with a new revenue line. I don't know how to do that yet. And save on cost. And you know, if we can look at other avenues where we can fortify processes of the company. So what I did was, I called a group of people, and they're all here, and I said, hey, you know what? Ratan wants us to look into this. And no more than 24 hours, or perhaps 48 hours later, they came up with a program. It's called Infinity. And let me show you what it is all about. So that conversation at the airport turned out to be the biggest game changer for SPi Global. So just to give you an update on the project, so we awarded these men and women, we actually launched the project in August, awarded the winners in December, and we already saw the first revenue line up and running from these 5 projects. We earned our first $1 million, and it was because of Infinity. And it's we're now going mainstream in Hollywood to actually do subtitling for big Hollywood movies for other Asian languages because we have offices in Vietnam, in China, India, and Philippines. And one of the 4 robo-reader actually just a month ago got an award in the Vietnam Excellence Sue Que Award for one of the best tool, which is a proofreader and an editing tool, which is also a product of the Infinity Award. And the other thing that was so phenomenally fantastic is the top winner actually is in the field of genome sequencing and annotation about human DNA, which actually will be a product of a service of SPi on sequencing, annotation, and big data analytics. So it is possible. HR can kick or throw the ball out of the park when we listen with intent on the conversations, on the pain, on the issues of operations and the business. And one of the key questions that I always, or at least one of the things I always tell the leaders of SPi is how to keep the seat is very important, because it's not a one-time, big-time deal that you go in, you're successful, and out. It's how you keep the seat at the table. And I'm sure all of you being HR professionals that you are know that it is to ensure that we remain relevant, that we continue challenging the norm, we continue to add value, we do external breeding, find out what's happening around us, because you cannot get everything inside your organization. You must put your one part of your eyes, ears, nose outside to ensure that you are toe-to-toe with competitors. And so, when you actually strut your way to the boardroom and you get this, remember this initial question we had where the CEO calls you for the boardroom? You can strut your way, you can model, you can dance, you can box your way, you can Muay Thai, but actually the best way to actually get into that room is break the walls, to be disruptive, to create impact and create an inclusive organization. Thank you.